What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the single player Let's Play series. So today I'd like to get started with something that we've been needing for a while. If I take a look over at my Akashic Tome, you'll see that it is almost full. That's because in between episodes I went out and mined a crap ton of Appetite and then basically just threw it away. I don't really care about Appetite, let's face it. So there's no, like, if I hadn't gotten rid of it, I would have had probably about 5 slots full of Appetite block, which it's just excessive. No one really needs that much. But I do want to get started with an experience solidifier this episode so that we can store this stuff and we can use it to repair our tools basically on a whim. So the recipe is a little bit different from what you normally see because I've disabled solidified experience from mobs. So of course you have to get started with solidified experience from this machine, and in order to get started with something from a machine you can't use that thing in the recipe for that machine. So we have magical apples, which we're going to need a few of, which fortunately we just need 1 magical wood for that. It's not a very expensive recipe, and so all in all I think it's definitely a this rebalanced recipe I kind of feel like is one of those where it kind of makes sense realistically looking at the ingredients involved. Oh, I don't have enough apples. Alright, so we can do magical wood, which is going to be this guy. We're going to need 4 levels of experience, which we clearly have a little bit more than. And then if we do these 2, and then if we do these, that'll get us magical apples. And then we need a golden spike, so that's going to be, we're going to need a stick for the sword. Going to need a sword, and whoops. I actually just realized this might be... Oh, okay, good. It does take Adventurer's Toolbox swords. Good. I'd hoped that would work, but then I just realized that this isn't the normal recipe for a gold sword, and I'm like, oh crap. And now with those, we can grab a block of gold and make ourselves the spike that we need. Very cool. This will leave us 2 extra spikes in the end, which will be very useful at some point if I ever get around to mob farming, which is definitely quite possible. And now I've got to see, I do have some extra treated sticks. Wonderful. I don't think I have any extra iron plates, though. Oh, I do. I do still have iron plates. Sweet. And then I need a black quartz. This is going very well, I would say. Normally these recipes kind of trip me up every now and then, but not today. Not today. So we can just stick this experience solidifier, I don't know, like here. So now if I go ahead and retrieve all the experience levels in this, which shouldn't take long, once you get to the upper levels, the experience gets exponential. So, you know, as you see in my hotbar, the durability bar is very quickly draining. If I do all, that gets me like 1152. Not bad. Now here's my question. If I do this... Okay, so I am far enough that it's not going to try to pick them up. Because if I do it too close, it's been known to... Maybe that was... You know, I wonder if that was FTB Utilities, or not FTB Utilities, Clump. So, I remember in the FTB Revelations pack, when we had that Let's Play for a very short amount of time, my experience solidifier was too close to my enchantment table, so that anytime I would right-click on the solidified experience, it would get sucked up by the solidifier right again, like as if there was no point in me ever even trying. I wonder if that had to do with a mod called Clump, which, like, consolidates all experience orbs in the world so that you legitimately have no experience orb lag. That seems quite likely, actually, the more I think about it. So the reason I want this, though, is because I can now go through tool by tool and get enough liquid, or like experience orbs from the actual world to go through and repair any of my tools that I decide to put mending on. So, basically it gives me an easier, more guaranteed way of repairing my tools. Pretty straightforward, huh? So, I do have another plan for this episode. Remember how we've been struggling with power for the last little while? I want to stop struggling with power. So I'm going to explore an option that I've done once or twice, but not a whole heck of a lot. And it's going to involve a spruce tree, which was probably a dead giveaway right off the bat. Okay, so this is actually not a bad tree. There have been better trees, but I can clear up a little bit of stuff around here to make it slightly more normal feeling. So these produce the most resin, and they are a 2x2, so we can put 8 on them, 1 for each bottom block face. So definitely incredibly convenient tree to do it with, and I find it to be the most efficient so far. There's probably a more efficient tree out there if you consider mod integrations and stuff, but I'm not. So why don't we look into a few arboreal extractors. We're going to get 8 of these, may as well. So we're going to need some copper gears, and as you know, we need 8 copper gears, each requiring 4 metal. We're going to run downstairs and get that automatically casting. In the meantime, we can look into the other factors going into the arboreal extractor, like iron gears, which we're going to need. We need 8 of, that means we need 16 of these. We're going to need a stack of iron. Goodbye, stack of iron. Oof. Never used a stack of iron all at once like this. I once had a recipe tweak to these redstone servos that was kind of, some could call it irritating. I don't know. I like recipes that aren't straightforward. Like, I'm really loving SevTech Ages. I've been playing it on my own time because it's one of those packs that's fun, but it's very repetitive and grindy. So it's not the right pack for a Let's Play, in my opinion. I think it's a right pack for... Rather, it's not the right pack for me to do a Let's Play on. It's a right pack for a Let's Play depending on who you are, but I am not the right person for it. It'd be a great live streaming pack. It's one of those things that you can just kind of work on forever, and people would still get a kick out of watching it. So this gets us our 8 device frames. These guys are just very simple little ingredient steps that we've seen before for the what was it, this guy, Aqueous Accumulator. So just another step closer. Alright, so our 16 iron gears are complete. We can run upstairs now and finish up the last of our little crafting session here. Well, that's a lie. Part of our crafting session. There's still a lot left that we will need to do, so let's look into it. We need a way of transferring fluids. And in order to do this, we have a handful of options. And I actually have just realized something. You know, I planted that tree over there, but a smarter place to put this would have been over by the pre-existing power plant stuff over here. I'm probably going to relocate the tree over here. Maybe clear up a little bit of stuff here. Yeah, because if the tree was here, that would probably work out a little better. Oh, and this is a better tree anyways. I like these trees much better. Yeah, much better. Cool. So, we can start with the arboreal extractors, but I will warn you, they're not going to need a whole lot of stuff here. Just kind of a simple setup. So, all I'm going to do is go through all of these and set them up. So as you'll see, these guys are building up a small but reasonable amount of resin. So this resin can be used for a handful of things. We're going to start by making sure that we can access the undersides of these machines so that I can get my fluids out the way I would like. And let's see, we can do this and that, and just kind of make sure that we can get in and out. That's what's most important currently. So, this energy production can go on pretty much wherever we want. I'm thinking we might build a small little structure out here for it, just because it seems relatively fitting to have just a little area out here that's specifically for refining these tree oils. Now, I'm noticing that they're not working anymore. Why is that, I wonder? Not actually sure. So give me just a little while to figure out what's up. Yes, it was the dirt. I put it back and gave it a few seconds, and these guys are running again, and as you can see, producing a decent bit. So, back to that part of our session here. I want to make sure that we get better energy by the end of the episode, so I'll make whatever cuts I need to do stuff off camera whenever I need to make sure that that gets done in time, because that is important, and we want to be sure that we can get good power pretty reasonably quickly. So by the time you're seeing this, I'm probably already doing my graduation ceremony. I'm recording this very far ahead of time, like in fact it's the entire month before. But oh, it's interesting seeing how the blocks actually got bigger and closer for saturation based on the font. That's very interesting. Sorry, random tangent, I know. But yeah, so since I'm graduating soon, it'll probably be my graduation ceremony. I'm going to try to get all these videos edited and uploaded, maybe with a pre-timed recording, I don't know yet. That way I don't have to worry about it when I'm on various vacations or just spending time with family for post-graduation ceremony stuff. So the thing that we need to do next is get ourselves a couple of fluiducts. Yeah, they're called fluiducts now, aren't they? They're not liquiducts. Yeah, cool. So the fluiducts are going to be pretty straightforward. We just need the basic tier. We don't need the fancy tier, so we can do just the copper version. Very nice to be able to cheap out a little bit. We also are going to need... so you see, this is actually kind of like a... It's an interesting combination of things, because we have the necessity to use power in order to create power. The nice thing is that we have everything we need in theory to be able to do this with the water mill. We can use the water mills to produce the power that we're going to need to create more power with. So it'll be a self-sustaining source, but it's definitely interesting that we have to kind of consider that when we're doing all of this. So we also need to see, I don't remember the name of the machine. It is a fractionating still. Is it not fractionating? Oh. So, this guy will produce rosin at a 75% chance, which is a fuel. Note, you can use it in a steam dynamo. I certainly plan to. And you also have a lot of interesting components that go into this. But this will produce, if we look at... one of these is the right one. Yes, tree oil. Tree oil will burn in a compression dynamo. And we're going to just have to input power and resin to get 2 forms of fuel. But this is pretty interesting and pretty cool. So we're going to want to get ourselves a storage drawer with an upgrade. I don't think I have any storage drawers just promptly on hand, so I'll make one real quick, make a simple one. So we can do just the simple style drawer like so. And I'm also going to want to get a void upgrade. Fortunately, I already have an upgrade template, and I've been getting obsidian here and there, so because I really hate getting obsidian, so I try to do it in little bursts. So that gets us the next component that we're going to need. Now, right now, the problem stands that we don't actually have a place to put any of this stuff in yet. We don't have a place to put our power. We're going to need a couple of components for transmitting and receiving power. So why don't we do this? I'm going to make 2 capacitors, and then I'm going to make a building for this and come back, but I want to do the capacitor banks. Am I going to do capacitor banks, or do I want to do oh crap, what are they? Storage or energy cell. So we can do the energy cells. These can at least be upgraded as we go, whereas on JEI is having a serious problem with enchantments right now. I know this is wrong. Like, it has a problem with enchantments. I'm glad that it's not always me. So good. So we have a handful of things that we can do here as far as capacitor banks and storage and energy storage go that are all interchangeable. I've been using the LV capacitors from Immersive Engineering, but they're really honestly not our best choice. These are not that impossible to make if we want to do basic capacitor banks, but I think I'm going to just do the energy cells because these are very fun to make. They require a little bit of involvement, which is cool. So I'm going to get all these little individual components together, and I'll be back once I'm ready to craft these energy cells, and then I'm going to build a house, or structure, rather. Not everything is a house, to get us to our next phase of energy production. Alright, so we have everything we should need here to make ourselves our 2 energy cells. And there we go. So these energy cells are capable of inputting and extracting power. They'll store, by default, 2 million RF. They can store more if you upgrade them, so definitely worth looking into if you do decide to go this route. But yeah, so I'm going to get a place built up first, route the resin coming from the trees over to that area, and then we can actually get started with a fractionating still or 2 and how we're going to route our power. Because that's an important thing to consider. In the meantime, while I'm doing that, I've come to the realization that I should probably make a decent bit of Invar, so we're just going to toss half a stack of iron and a quarter of a stack of nickel into our smeltery here. And I want to make sure that this goes in at a reasonable rate, so we're going to do one at a time, I suppose. But for right now, I don't want it to cast more ingots. I want it to wait until this alloys. And then, like I said, I'm going to go build a house. So I will be back when we have a bunch of Invar and a place to actually use it. So I know this isn't very, like, I don't know, it's not quite as extravagant or big or whatever as my other places, but this literally is just our little power production shack. It's not meant to be great because we're not doing high technical, high voltage power production yet. When we do, I will build a much bigger, much nicer place that will provide a lot more power, but will also look a lot more industrial than this does, because keep in mind, right now this is not meant to look super duper industrial. It's meant to look kind of rustic right now. Hence my choice in using rustic blocks a lot for that build. Nonetheless, I think that build will be good enough for now. I'm going to clean up a couple of my miscellaneous materials that I grabbed for building with. And actually, I'm not even going to keep a single slab. Not really sure why I'm doing it here either. So yeah, make sure everything there is good. Sure. Alright, so now we have a place to put our power production. So we have our arboreal extractor already set up, and over here in our crate I have left the materials that I put together. So give me a couple of seconds to go ahead and route all of these together. You'll see that they're going to start producing pretty quickly here from the looks of it. So we also need to go ahead and determine some approximate location as to where we are in the above surface world and where we are below. So we might want to, you know, maybe instead of coming out that side, come out this side. Probably going to do that. So go ahead and map that out, and I'll be back once we're done. Alright, so I have hooked up our energy cell here. It's going to start storing up our power. And I've also routed over our fluids. So they are now coming up right here from over there, more or less doing a decent job of getting transferred. So there's not really a lot left to do except provide power and this oil to this machine. So we want to get the what is it called? I hate that I already forgot what it's called. Fractionating still. Let's grab this guy real quick. It shouldn't be that hard now. This is going to require Constantin, which you also haven't really taken a look at too closely, but that's okay. We have plenty of time to learn in this series, so there's a lot of stuff that we haven't really used a lot of that we can start getting into. So that's cool. So Constantin is it's an alloy between nickel and copper, actually. So it is I think it's another 2-to-1, but I don't actually recall. Smelting. Oh, it's 1-to-1. Okay, so it is equal parts copper and nickel. We'll make a decent bit of this stuff as well, just for the heck of it. No reason to slack on this. So we can turn off that so that nothing gets imbalanced. We have plenty of Invar now. So we wanted to get... oh, did we really even need Invar? I thought we needed Invar for something. But I guess not. Well, crud. I seriously swore that that was an Invar gear, but it definitely was not. It was just nickel. Oh well. We can still use the Invar for... part of why I made so much of it anyways, because I thought part of it was in this recipe. It is not. But the other thing that I made it for was for better flux ducts, for better power transfer. So we can still use it for that, just we're going to have a little extra. So no biggie there. We're going to need to make a ton of different gears, though. We need a tin gear. We need a nickel gear. I picked up the wrong ingot there. We need a nickel gear. We need Constantin gears. Yeah, so this is definitely quite the process, for sure. We can go ahead and get this stuff going, though. Constantin is already done. Let me grab my gear cast from in here, and we'll go and just manually cast these. Alright, nickel gear is done. yet another day and night have passed. That goes to show you how long we've been spending on this episode. I've been doing a lot of cuts, obviously, just in the recording session, but it gives you an idea for sure. So we'll go ahead and do machine frame. We need gold, 2 redstone, and I need 2 glass. I thought I'd already accounted for that, but I did not. So this will get us our fractionating still. So the fractionating still, as you saw, will refine everything for us that we need to kind of get going. This is particularly useful for a couple of other recipes, but I have never actually used them before. I also have not put a door yet. I should have grabbed a door. Let me do that real quick. Let me grab a door. I know I have an extra ironwood door somewhere. I also have spruce. Choices. I think I'm going to do ironwood. Ironwood goes much better here. So, this guy has a decent bit of power. I think, just for simplicity's sake, I might actually... I'll take whatever little bit I just lost there. It's an infinite fluid, for Pete's sake. Oh, and you know what? I did need that marble. Crap. Oh well, not my day. And we'll export our power straight to the back so that it goes straight into this machine. And now we can do a couple of things. We want to tell him to input on the bottom, extract this output to the top, or output it to the top. So we'll put that here for now. Eventually we'll have a plan for this resin. Rosin? Is it resin or rosin? This is rosin. So eventually I'll have a plan for the rosin, but I don't right now. And that's just kind of the state of things. Not terribly concerned by it. But you'll see this guy's going to use a little bit of power, but we should still have a decent net gain here. I knew I heard you. But... So if we check this out, we should still have... Yeah, we still have a net power gain. So we're not using a whole heck of a lot of power on that system, which I kind of figured. I don't know why my chunks just re-rendered. That was weird. Now let me go grab that piece of marble that I just mistakenly got rid of. And we'll sort something out for that. And give me just a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and make the next step, which is making more generators. So we've been using the kinetic dynamo and some water wheels for this entire process, basically up until now. But we're going to want to do some dynamos this time. So we want the compression dynamo. And these guys, I'm going to just make like 4 of them. They're just a bunch of tin, for the most part. So this is a really easy recipe because it's just a bunch of tin. So I might make maybe 6 of these. So we'll just grab 24 tin and go toss it downstairs. And I'll be back once I've got these made up because there's no sense in dragging you guys through that. Alright, so 6 compression dynamos, and then the last puzzle piece that we have is, remember, I grabbed some of the flux ducts, and I'll grab these flue ducts too. I grabbed some of those flux ducts, but I actually want to convert them to a nicer type. So that can be done using Invar, which, remember, I still have a ton of that. And we can go ahead and convert these things around pretty easily, just by taking the old leadstone flux duct and combining it with Invar and redstone. So these are just crafting recipes still. That's why I've opted for those instead of trying to go for something crazy like the redstone flux ducts, which require a whole set of machinery that we're not even prepared for yet. We will be someday, but we're not yet. So I'm going to make a decent handful of these because I don't like making them. So if I can get them all done now, that'd be better than having to do it again later. Maybe do 2 stacks or so. So that'll get us about 2 stacks worth. Now we can upgrade all of them just like that. Very simple process. Remember how I had 40? Yeah, that's why. So at this point, we're gonna want to do one last thing that I'm thinking about. Maybe we want to do it, maybe we don't. I don't think we do. We want to make a few more LV wire coil connectors. These will eventually not be LV. These will eventually be HV or something, but I've just been a little bit lackluster as far as my desire for wanting to finish that right now. But that's just going to be a bunch of copper. You see, there's something weird. Sometimes I can pull from these inventories, and sometimes I can't, and I haven't figured out what it is yet. That's odd. Whatever. And I should have terracotta. very good. So we're going to want maybe one more of these and a couple more of these. And we should be set. We should be able to make decent amounts of power. So the compression dynamos literally just take in some fuel and produce some energy from it. So remember, I made two of our I know how to use words. I made two of the leadstone what are you? Not leadstone. They're energy cells now. I forget that they're not leadstone anymore. I made two of those, and there was kind of a reason for that. We can get into that later. So I do 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. I might actually want to wait first and do one thing before that. And that is routing our energy maybe like this. And then it can go into this part. So it would go here. Here's my plan. It'll go down and then back up into another energy cell, which I have. This energy cell will be set to, we'll reset it, input on the bottom and output out the front. So now, with it outputting out of the front, we can load balance these two a little bit. I don't like that that's kind of going to stick like that. Maybe I should have done... No, not that. Definitely not that. This instead. There we go. I just don't like it when I have to walk through wires to get places. It doesn't make sense that you'd be able to do that a whole lot. I mean, every now and then a low-hanging wire like this one doesn't offend me per se, but I do kind of want to fix this up too. I think if I can get this to work again, that would be great. See, why does it have to be obstructed by itself? Like, this doesn't really make sense. I just want this to work. I'm going to get this to look a little better. Give me just a second. Alright, so I got everything fixed up. I will admit this is not going to end up being a very pretty setup. It never is. But we can at least get it working very easily. And so what I'm going to do is we're going to have... This is where our fluids are going to come in. No, not right there, dingus. So they're going to come in from the back side of the dynamo. And those are going to try to connect. Let me go take a nap real quick, and I'm gonna make a crescent hammer. Crescent hammers are good for adjusting and controlling the various thermal expansion / thermal collection of items. So those guys are really good at controlling that kind of stuff, making so that things don't connect if you don't want them to, so on and so forth. So if I remember, the crescent hammer is tin and iron? Yeah, tin and iron. Bop, 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 bop. And there we go. So this guy I probably should have made sooner than I did, but whatever, it'll be okay. Unless I already have one. I don't. Good, okay. I was about to worry about that. I've done this before. So the solution that I end up having for that guy is just moving it a little further, and then it was no longer quote-unquote obstructed. I don't like the new obstruction rules all that much, to be honest. So this allows for many things. And you know what? God dang it. I'm going to be right back. I keep on forgetting to grab structural ducts. We're going to need a ton of them for this place. It's going to be a facade mess, honestly, or cover mess. But that's okay, because the covers are going to make it look less of a mess, but it's still going to be a mess internally. I'll know in the back of my head that these are basically just hugely messy on the inside, which will bother me a little bit, but honestly, it's kind of cathartic covering everything up so that you go from spaghetti to what looks clean, even though, again, you're dying on the inside because you know that it's really just a huge mess. But hopefully it shouldn't be that bad, I don't think. I know we're going to need a handful of stone brick covers because we're going to want to cover both sides of these guys. And then on the inside, we'll want to do Excuse me. I'd like to go inside, please. We'll want to do this. And we will want to do these. Get that guy back, please. Cool. The reason we want to do those is because even though we have them there, I still want to have... Cool. You'll see that as I connect these, that they're going to be pointing into the ground, and they'll still connect, but I want to make sure that they connect without giving me a whole bunch of struggle. So the last step is, this is going to be kind of a mess, so I'm going to do this. In fact, I'm going to do this. So we don't want connections here. We don't want connections here. But we do want a connection here for you to, I guess we'll input for now. I'll do this for the time being. I want you to input from there, please. Cool. So I'm going to let this part drain out because there's not really a lot I can do about this, honestly. I don't have anything to store anything with, or else I would. So yeah, this just has to drain. I'll be back in just a bit. Alright, so everything is drained and set back up. We can now tell the output of this, the red, to go over here. And once these guys get a certain level of tree oil, they will start running. Problem is they don't actually have that yet. So these will require, they usually self-document this, but I guess not today. These require a certain level, and once we meet that level, we'll be good. Now the problem is that we're not going to really maintain that level as of yet. So I am going to make a couple of upgrades for this guy so that we can manage to get this guy going pretty quickly. So let me go make those before, or next. You've seen this before, so it's not really a huge deal. I'm going to make a couple of the upgrade frame upgrades for those, and I'll be back when I've gotten, I'm hoping maybe doing tier 2, but I don't know if I can. I cannot. Alright, well, I tried. So I lied. I can actually make fused quartz, which is definitely a suitable replacement. I just need a silver gear, which we can totally do. So this will get us up to tier 2. We'll make the power consumption go up, but will also mean that we can meet some sort of equilibrium. So yeah, the fused quartz took quite a while in our alloy furnace, but it was just a bunch of quartz. So I can't really complain about how long something that just takes quartz takes to make. That being said, I think we're in a position where we can go ahead and convert these guys back to just the structural duct and make ourselves our gear. And there we go, our very first reinforced upgrade. So there's a first time for everything in this series, but definitely nice to actually get this one done sooner rather than later. So it's going to require more power, but as a result, it's also going to process a lot more quickly. And once we get these kicked on, power's not even going to be an issue. Like, these guys are going to produce a decent bit of power. And if we got them upgraded, we'd be in great shape as well. So definitely easy to get that going, but I think, since there's not really a lot to see here, I'm going to leave it there. I hope you guys enjoyed the episode, and I'll see you guys in the next one.